Alright, what's up, YouTube Nation? I'm back with part two to sex game wavy proteins versus steroids. Now, yesterday I left off with the history of how it was being used in sports. Now, today we're going to cover how is it being used to try to attract the opposite sex. I'm talking about girls, women, women that are eights, nines, and tens. Now, a lot of times it ain't just professional athletes taking steroids, growth hormones, and PhDs to try to attract the opposite sex. Now we got cases where you see guys that are not even professional bodybuilders, weightlifters, powerlifters, guys that have never played basketball or football in their entire life, all of a sudden they looked jacked. Like, remember when you was in high school and college and there was that skinny, awkward nerd kid? And then fast forward 10 years later, this guy looks like the Incredible Hulk. He looks like Captain America Steve Rogers. He looks like the Mighty Thor. And you're scratching your head and you're trying to figure out 10 years ago, you were a skinny, awkward nerd kid. And now you got the body of the Incredible Hulk, Captain America Steve Rogers, and the Mighty Thor. Well, I'm here to provide answers for that. See, what you gotta understand is when Big Boss Calvin 83 on YouTube keeps saying money, looks, status in that particular order, let's deal with this myth that we got on the internet. And you know what I mean when I say myth on the internet. Now, Zach Deloney is a very interesting, great content creator on YouTube. And he told me that in his view, that it doesn't matter if you're a sexy, handsome, good looking man or if you're just straight out, flat out ugly. And I could see why he would say that. I mean, it's a very strong, powerful, compelling argument. I mean, I found some videos that do suggest the evidence on why he says it. But the truth is never so simple. Now, is it, people? What it is, and even scientists can confirm this, women are going to judge you based on physical appearance. Now, with pickup artists, these jackass pickup artists and dating coaches are never going to tell you, women have this thing called category. You get put in a category. If you play sports, then women are going to say that you're a guy that plays sports. If you are a guy that all he does is obsess about money, then you're in the category that all you do is make money. And if you're a guy that goes to the gym, then they're going to call you the gym rat. It's a category, people, that you get put in. Whatever category you get put in, that's the category you're in. And women have a certain category of a type of man that they're looking for. So when you see these guys go to the gym and they're bench pressing 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds, they leg squat 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds, and then they turn around and they deadlift 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds. They're trying to physically, sexually attract beautiful, attractive women. See, ask yourself this question. How many times you've done something the correct way, the right way, and it never works? You know that old saying, just be yourself, right? Well, being yourself doesn't work in today's society. So when you hear a bunch of men say, no matter how handsome you are or how ugly you are, it'll never get the attention of the girl, those men have never had the ability to physically, sexually attract women. And you see, a scientist, if there is ever a such thing of a real pickup artist, it's actually a scientist. Because a scientist has all the answers to all the questions that you're asking for and looking for. How does a scientist know when there's going to be an earthquake? They go out into the field to see the last incident that we had an earthquake. How does a scientist determine if someone's going to die from AIDS or HIV? They have to find someone that was exposed to it, right? How does a scientist know when we're going to have a hurricane or a tsunami? They have to actually get on a boat and go to when they had the last tsunami. And most importantly, how does a scientist know when we're going to have a volcano eruption? They have to actually go to where the volcano erupted from hundreds of years ago or thousands of hundreds of years ago. And most importantly, how does a scientist knows if a woman is physically, sexually attracted to you or not? They have to conduct social experiments. So if anybody's a real pickup artist, it's scientists. The guys who keep going on YouTube, making YouTube videos and telling you no matter how handsome you are, that money, looks, and status won't help you get the girl, those are stupid ass beta males that ain't had no booty since they was in junior high. That means they went all of junior high, all of high school, and all of college their whole entire life not ever getting the attention of the opposite sex. So only a beta male men would say stupid, ignorant nonsense. Because scientist says otherwise. It's a category, people, that you get put in. Whatever category you get put in, that's the category you're in. So if you play sports, you're in the category that you play sports. If all you do is count money, then you're in the category of guys that make money. And if you are a guy that goes to the gym and all you do is focus on your looks, then you're a gym rat. Now, there are some women that don't like basketball and football and baseball. I've actually met women that can care less about basketball. You talk to a golf girl at a golf club, right? I'll give you an example. And you talk to her about the NBA, she'd be like, that's an interesting thing, but I don't watch basketball. You can talk to her about NFL football, and she will not understand not a single thing about football. You talk to her about baseball, and she'll probably say, well, I see it on TV, I see it on cable. You know, my girlfriend took me to a baseball game, but it's boring. She doesn't understand the concept of baseball. So you have women that like guys that play basketball and football and baseball, and then you have girls that you find physically, sexually attractive, but they're not into sports. You got some girls that are into soccer. You got some girls that like guys that drive fast motorcycles. So you could be 6 feet to 6'4" with 6-pack abs and look ripped like Chris Hemsworth as Thor, and she'll reject you because you don't drive a motorcycle. But let a girl see a guy that's 6'4", 230 pounds, rock solid muscle with ripped 6-pack abs driving a motorcycle. That's her type of guy. It's called a preference. You know how a black man say that when I date a white woman, it's a preference? Well, women have preference. Not every woman is into men that are bodybuilders, weightlifters, and powerlifters. Sometimes other things are required in a combination of the two. Yeah, a girl wants you to be in great athletic shape, but there are other things that go with the process. Now, the reason why a lot of guys who have average 9 to 5 jobs mess with steroids, growth hormones, PhDs, it's because they see it in television and film. Every time you watch a movie, let's use Green Arrow, the television series, for a perfect example. The actor that plays Oliver Queen Green Arrow, if you watch the first 3 seasons of the show, they always write in the script that he has to have his shirt off. Now, the idea that he has a crossbow, a bow and arrow, and that he takes out the bad guys with that, and then he It's got six-pack abs and he's ripped. Women find him physically, sexually attractive. And a lot of guys who read comic books, DC comic books, who like superheroes like Superman, Batman, Green Arrow, The Flash, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, I would probably say is in a different category. But the point is, when they watch the television show of Green Arrow and they see the attention that the actor get just by taking his shirt off and looking badass, a lot of guys go to the gym at 24 Hour Fitness or LA Fitness or Gold's Gym trying to become Oliver Queen. And they might start fucking with PhDs or growth hormone treatment to look like Oliver Queen Green Arrow. Same thing if you watch the television show The Flash. He has a nice athletic look. Like, he doesn't look physically opposing. He doesn't look like he can whoop nobody's ass, right? But a lot of guys start going to the gym and they want to become the Flash because they see that he's in shape. And if these actors play these characters can get that kind of attention, then why should I not be in the attention? So when a guy goes to 24 Hour Fitness, he gonna do the Green Arrow workout. That's why when you watch those 5 seasons of the television series of Arrow, you see he works out in every single episode. Every episode you see him working out, right? Well, guys imitate that because I can get women's attention by doing that. If it's not Green Arrow and it's not the Flash, then it's Batman. And almost all the Batman films, you see him doing different levels of training. Like, you look at Batman versus Superman. Perfect example. Did you not see how buff Ben Affleck was? Well, guess what? That guy is tall as hell. And let's not forget Henry Cavill when he plays Superman. When you watch Man of Steel and you see the scene where he's trying to help them get off the oil rig, and you see him lift that shit, you can't help but wonder that when guys saw that movie, the inspiration they got from it when they saw he had big ass biceps. A lot of guys saw that movie, and ever since they saw that Superman film, guys have been going to Gold's Gym trying to imitate Superman. Because it's that serious. So if it ain't Green Arrow and it ain't the Flash, you're going to try to be Batman or Superman. Now, Martian Manhunter is because when he shapeshifts, he can shapeshift into anyone. So I'm using the Flash and Green Arrow and Batman and Superman as prime examples. This is if you look at DC television shows or DC films. Now, for the guys that try to imitate the Marvel Cinematic Universe sex appeal, there are a bunch of men that ever since they saw the Wolverine, they want to be just like Hugh Jackman. They see he is jacked. You look at Hugh Jackman in X-Men 2, perfect example. He was 235 pounds, ripped of muscle. And Hugh Jackman got hit on by an actress that was married. And then Hugh Jackman got hit on by, when they had him on Monday Night Raw, he got hit on by Eddie Guerrero's ex-wife. And all the attention that Hugh Jackman get for playing Wolverine is because women find him sexually attractive. So here's an Australian man with an accent playing the Wolverine. So now guys want to go to the gym and they want to be Wolverine. So they'll wear a t-shirt of Wolverine. Because, well, it works for Hugh Jackman, so it should work for me too. Then you got guys that see Chris Evans as Steve Rogers' Captain America. And ever since they saw all 3 films of Captain America, guys have been wearing t-shirts of Captain America. Now, I'm not saying there's absolutely wrong with that. What I'm saying is, when you see guys go in the gym and they wear it, they're doing it to attract the opposite sex. Same thing if you watch the Thor films. Every guy who bench presses 300 pounds or 350 or 400 or 420 pounds, they think they're Thor. And then the guys who be trying to deadlift 500 pounds only to injure themselves, dislocate their shoulder, and can't go to the gym for 6 to 9 months, they think they're Iron Man. They actually think they're Tony Stark Iron Man, and they think they're the Incredible Hulk when they try to make an attempt to deadlift 500 pounds. And the reason why I'm describing superheroes is because a lot of the men believe that if they can become Iron Man, Thor, the Incredible Hulk, Captain America, women will find me physically, sexually attractive. If I can be just Wolverine or the Black Panther, I'll get women's attention. Now, what happens when you do all of that and it backfires and it blows up in your face? A lot of guys will try to mess with Muscle Milk. And I remember when Muscle Milk came out in 2005, a lot of guys were bloated. They had stomach pains. They had diarrhea. And they would gain 20, 30 pounds off of Muscle Milk. And they got fat. And a lot of guys was like, what the hell? How is this Muscle Milk making me fat? So instead of getting attention from women, it made you get no attention from women. That's how come they had to, recreate Muscle Milk all over again. A lot of guys was messing with Cell Tech and Nitro Tech and Muscle Tech, and women complained they got too big and it was a turnoff. Like, you know how some guys just get too damn big and they look like the Incredible Hulk? Well, a lot of girls will say, well, I wanted a big, strong guy, but I didn't want no guy to be the Hulk. So now you got all these muscles, but now the girl don't want to talk to you because you took being big to the next level, extreme. So now you were getting attention only to have her say, well, I can't do nothing with you because you too big. So then it backfires on you. Then you got the guys who bitch and complain that the only kind of women that find them physically, sexually attractive are fat women. A lot of times, you go in the gym and you deadlift 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds. You get a lot of fat white women, a lot of fat Latino women who find you physically, sexually attractive. And then these guys get like that because they don't want fat women talking to them. And no one ain't never told you guys, but the first signs of physical sexual attraction is getting hit on by plus size women that's from 200 to 400 plus pounds. If you don't get hit on by fat women, then you're going to get approached by somebody's mother or grandmother. That's the first sign of physical sexual attraction. And a lot of guys be like, but I want the supermodels. I want Miss USA. I want Scarlett Johansson to hit on me in the gym. And then guess what? A lot of the times when you guys take these drugs, they backfire. See, in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, it was taking morphine. It was taking Vicodin. And they ain't gonna tell you this, but in the porn industry, the reason why they were taking that is because they would have sex with 5 girls in one movie, and the guy would get tired after screwing 3 girls. So when we got to the 80s, the 1980s, I was born in 1986, so I know what I'm talking about. They would snort up maybe 2 to 3 bags of cocaine mixed with crystal meth. And these guys would screw all day long, all day night. Then when we got to the 1990s, cocaine started to have a fall. Like nobody was messing with cocaine no more. Now it was ecstasy. Then it was heroin, PCP. Then when we got to the 2000s, they started messing with PhDs and growth hormone supplement treatments. You see how Spider-Man Homecoming, right? You see how the kid is jacked up, right? Well, there are a lot of guys that watch Spider-Man and they try to be just like Spider-Man, but they're using PhDs and growth hormone supplement treatments to do that. So if cocaine doesn't work and steroids fails, Just so you know, when you take steroids, that stays in your system for about 18 months. 18 months mathematically is 2 years. So in 2 years, you're going to wear off on the steroids and going back to being fat and out of shape again. With growth hormone and supplement treatments, you could stay on that stuff for about 4 years before anyone finds out you're on the shit. Like, let's look at UFC for an example. Brock Lesnar, right? When Brock Lesnar got caught, it was not antibiotic steroids that Brock Lesnar got caught with. It was him using a combination of growth hormone supplement treatment mixed with PhDs, and they accused him of it. Now, back in the 1990s when we had mixed martial arts, those guys were skinny as a toothpick. And women complained that they would not watch UFC if these guys were skinny as a toothpick. So a lot of these MMA fighters that were winning lightweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight, and welterweight and middleweight championship titles, they couldn't get no play from the females because they weren't built like bodybuilders, weightlifters, and powerlifters. So as we got into the 2000s, a lot of these new age MMA fighters started doping up on drugs to try to get the attention of the opposite sex. That's why when you hear people say there's drugs in MMA, particularly the UFC, it's to get the attention of women. Okay? That's why they're doing it. You look at guys like Royce Gracie, Hendel Gracie, Frank Shamrock, Kim Shamrock, Randy the Natural Cortell. Those were guys who were always in natural athletic shape. They don't take drugs. They don't mess with powder protein supplements because they don't believe in that stuff. And then when guys like Frank Mir pop up, he tested positive for antibiotic steroids. Because you can't go from being 180, 6 feet tall to 230 pounds, and all of a sudden Frank Mir was 6'1", 230 pounds, and then 5 years into his MMA career, he gets busted. He tests positive for steroids. That's when people found out, oh shit, MMA fighters is taking drugs now. Same thing with Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar was not taking antibiotic steroids. See, people forget that if you look at Brock Lesnar's pictures back when he was in high school and college, Brock Lesnar was kind of fat and out of shape. And it wasn't until his professional wrestling career that Brock started to get the fat off his stomach. And when he got into the UFC, Brock got complaints that he was still too fat. So Brock tried to find ways to get into shape. See, when you pick on people like Brock Lesnar, then you see why Brock has to resort to taking drugs. So I don't blame Brock Lesnar for taking drugs because it ain't his fault. It's the fact that all the pressure's on him to make the fans go, oh shit, he's a badass. I want to go into the gym and look like Brock Lesnar. And then you see what happens. Same thing in Hollywood. Oh yeah, I can't end the video without talking about Hollywood. Same thing in Hollywood. If you just look at some of these action-packed movies, a lot of people accuse Jerron Butler of taking drugs during the time of him doing the 300 film. But that was because he needed to get in athletic shape for the character of Leonidas. Same thing if you look at movies like Troy with Brad Pitt. Everyone gave Brad Pitt hell for being too small and too skinny. So a lot of people don't understand that. And you see, some women are attracted to bodybuilders, weightlifters, powerlifters, but a lot of times you get guys that have average 9-to-5 jobs. Now you see there's guys that are police officers that look like bodybuilders. You're like, is this a police officer or is this a bodybuilder? You see a fireman and you go, is this a fireman or is this a power lifter? And then you got guys that are janitors, and you look at the janitor and you be like, is this a damn janitor or is this a football player? There are guys that work for FedEx and UPS, and there are guys that are mailmen, and you be thinking, is he a basketball player? Like, I remember one time I saw a mailman, 6'5", 240, and I looked at the mailman and said, "You look like you play basketball." And he laughed at me and said, "I play pickup basketball, but I don't play professional basketball." And I said, "But you still look like a basketball player." Then I've seen this one guy, 7 feet tall, and I looked at him and said, "You look like you're a linebacker." And this guy from FedEx go, "I'm not a football player. I played football in high school and college, but I'm not a professional football player." So you're going to get cases where there are guys that work at FedEx, UPS, that are mailmen, janitors, taking drugs. You even get some guys that are working for the cable company, the water and power. What's another place? Construction. You get guys that are construction workers. Now, those guys are not professional bodybuilders either, but those guys can deadlift 300 pounds, 400 pounds. They can deadlift 500 pounds. A lot of these construction jobs, those guys have to go to the gym. Guys that are part of the cable company, cable like Comcast, Time Warner, but they now call it Spectrum Cable, to go on top of a roof or on top of a tree, those guys have to go to the gym. Janitors, they got to clean the bathroom, but the janitor also have to sometimes cut tree branches. So janitors have to go to the gym. So when you see the mailman and he look like a basketball player, and you see the UPS man and the FedEx man and he look like a football player, chances is he's either taking protein, wavy protein. If he ain't taking that, it's probably PhDs, growth hormones, with a combination of antibiotic steroids. Not everyone is 100% natural. And you see the reason why you get guys that work for the UPS, FedEx, guys that are mailmen, guys that are janitors, cablemen, the electrician, guys that are police officers, firefighters, bodyguards, security guards, or even teachers. Your high school teacher, your college teacher. A lot of times, a lot of those guys take it because women don't find them physically, sexually attractive. Like, what supermodel would want to date a janitor? Can't picture it, can you? What Hollywood actress wants to date a teacher? Can't picture it, can you? But can you picture a supermodel dating a teacher that's 6'6", 250, that looks like Thor? Can you picture a Hollywood actress dating a police officer that's 7 feet tall, 260 pounds of muscle, and he looks like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? That's why they take the stuff to try to physically, sexually attract beautiful, attractive women. And you see, if a lot of times this works, but then what happens when you go into a store and your drugs have been taken from you? What happens when the government cracks down on stores that sells drugs that cannot be identified? And 6 months go by, 9, 10, 11 months go by, and the drugs you were trying to get in the store, it's been taken off the counter. Now, those guys find themselves in situations where 2 years go by, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years go by, that they can no longer get the attention that they used to do. And you see a lot of men who go to the gym are killing themselves to get women's attention. Now you see guys driving motorcycles trying to get a woman's attention. Now you can get hit by a car or a truck, or even worse, a train, because you want to get a woman's attention. Now you got guys that are surfers taking drugs because I need to get on top of a 20-foot wave to get a woman's attention. Hold on, people. Every time I do a video, these morons like to call. Sorry about that, people. I apologize. But I'm just trying to give you a history breakdown on why some of these men do it. And you see they do it to physically, sexually attract women. White women, black women, Latino women, Asian women. And, you go bald head, you lose your hair, your penis gets small, you got women's breasts, because you're messing with steroids. Now, when you mess with PhDs and growth hormones, it makes your hair grow. It does the complete opposite of steroids. If steroids make you lose your hair and go bald head, PhDs and growth hormones grows your hair out. It makes your penis get bigger. It makes your plex flex. It makes you look lean. You look like the Flash. You look like Spider-Man. So when you mess with growth hormones and PhD, you're not going to look like Chris Hemsworth as Thor. You're not going to look like Christopher Evans as Captain America. You're not going to look like the Incredible Hulk. You're not going to look like Batman and Superman. You're not going to look like the Arrow. You're not going to look like any of these superheroes from the DC comic books or the Marvel comic books. You're just going to look more like Spider-Man and the Flash, very athletic, when you take PhDs and growth hormones. So basically, I'm just trying to give you a general idea that in today's society, it ain't just basketball, football, and baseball players, and it ain't just bodybuilders, weightlifters, and powerlifters taking drugs. People who have average 9-to-5 jobs are now doing it. So I pretty much have touched on the subject. You can even see it in the porn industry that a lot of guys are messing with the drugs, and then you pick up a porno and then you want to be just like the stud in the porno. And the guys who keep messing with the powder proteins, who keep complaining that the only attention I get is from fat women, just remember that when you do that, the first signs of sexual attraction is you're gonna get hit on 90% of the time by fat women that's 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds. You're gonna get hit on by somebody's mother or grandmother because you're messing with muscle milk. You're messing with powder protein. That's why a lot of the guys leave that shit alone and they start messing with antibiotic steroids and growth hormones and PhDs, because I want the supermodels. I want the booty model. I want the Hollywood actresses. I want the news lady. I want porn actresses. So now do you understand that all drugs have advantages and disadvantages? Now this video is way too long, so you got a part 2, and depending on how many watch part 2, we may or may not make a part 3. I probably may not make a part 3 because I kind of give you as much information as I possibly can give. All right, peace.